In 1972, MIT conducted a research project into the date they believed that our civilization would come to an end, and the results were shocking. In fact, the results were so shocking that it created a public frenzy, leading to the publication of the best-selling book, The Limit to Growth, translated into 30 different languages with 30 million copies sold. Industrial output, food, resources, and a massive decrease in the world's population were all forecast to collapse around this significant year. 50 years ago, the MIT scientists stated that industrial civilization would be doomed if businesses and governments continued to pursue continuous economic growth at any cost. This is also a topic that I've covered on this channel numerous times, citing how ridiculous GDP metrics are, because they are based on ego and competition with other countries, which really makes no sense unless you're a 5-year-old having your first playground scuffle. A much better system is a resource-based economy using decentralized finance where necessary. A resource-based economy means the sharing of assets between each other that we, and not the elites, control. Jack Fresco dedicated his life's work to this vision, called the Venus Project, which is awe-inspiring and worth looking into if you've never heard of it. But the real question is, do you honestly believe these people who have the power and have the control right now would really give up their favorite toys that easily? I think not. Now let's fast forward 50 years to the present day, where new researchers have picked up the project from MIT and used more data points, artificial intelligence, and greater computing power to give us a more accurate forecast. But this is where the shock came in when the results came back. It was exactly the same year again. So what is this date for the ultimate collapse of civilization? 2040. However, if the year 2040 wasn't shocking enough, the research projects actually focused around an even more terrifying date range, which is a lot sooner, and I think will absolutely shock you when I tell you about it later in the video. This 2040 date seems scary, I know, but just remember that advanced civilizations have come and gone multiple times over. We won't be the first and we won't be the last. And don't be fooled by the history books found in schools today. The truth is that we know very little about history other than the last few thousand years. Just recently, leading ecologists have yet again done another U-turn on the Amazon rainforest, where before they said there was no way it could ever support life on a large scale. But researchers have recently scanned and mapped enormous cities which they believe supported millions of people. How? We think they invented a type of super fertilizer to grow huge crop yields. If you're getting value from this video so far, can I ask you to do me a quick favor? Just click the like button for me, and why not subscribe to the channel if you're not already? I'm bringing you videos like this every week, and of course please share my videos with your network. Thank you so much. The same was said about Angkor Wat in Cambodia, which I visited just a few years ago, another awe-inspiring site. Angkor Wat was found to have been home to close to 1 million people, a feat researchers thought impossible until recently. If you've never been to the pyramids of Giza, when I first went, I was absolutely startled by the magnitude of these things. These pyramids are still baffling archaeologists today. How exactly were they built with such precision when you can't even fit a razor blade between the blocks? How did they know such precise mathematical concepts as pi and the speed of light? How did they know the circumference of the Earth in a period of time where that technology just didn't exist? These are all questions yet to be answered by science. In fact, due to the destructive nature of time, we know very little about ancient civilizations. And what we do think we know gets changed on a regular basis. So while it is very difficult for historians to know exactly what caused the collapse of previous civilizations, collapses do tend to fall under 4 main categories, and these are as follows: political, social, climate, and economic. In the past 100 years, the British, Spanish, French, and Dutch have all seen their empires become a shadow of what they are today. And the USA is almost certain to be the next empire to meet its fate. I would even argue that it's already on the decline because unfortunately, the USA meets all factors currently: political, social, climate, and economic crises. So how did MIT predict the end of the world then? The MIT team created World 3, which was a computer model for assessing if the current usage of the world's resources was sustainable. Guess what? It wasn't. We know that the larger a population becomes, the more food, water, housing, and other resources it needs. But our planet has finite resources. We also live in a disgusting society of crony capitalism, where companies deliberately create built-in obsolescence into their products so that they break faster and we buy more. This all adds to the landfill and the increased speed of our natural resources running out. Declining birth rates lead to an aging population, putting more financial pressure on workers through taxes to fund pension schemes and care. If you remember last month, I covered the pension crisis in detail. I researched the Western government's own data to find out when exactly their pension funds would end. And again, I was shocked by the date of this collapse, 2032. So I really do hope that you watched that video and you've taken some sort of action against it. This financial pressure will mean that younger workers will work more and longer, leading to an ever decreasing birth rate still. While the study accounted for hundreds of variables throughout the global economy, they were really only interested in 5 major ones. These were population, food, resources, industrial output, and pollution. As you would imagine from a range of different models, they all got different results, but they all had one thing in common. They all showed the collapse of society in the exact same year, 2040. So this year, even more researchers have reviewed the study, adding an additional 5 metrics for even greater accuracy thanks to the advent of AI. And I don't have good news for you. They narrowed down all the previous studies into 2, that's all, just 2 possible outcomes. And they called these the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. The best case scenario was called CT, comprehensive technology. This was a model based on continuing to live as we currently do, but technology progresses fast enough to ensure our productive capacity is able to keep up with all of the new people. Again, the population plateaus around the year 2040, but that's due to wealthier, more urban populations having less children, rather than people starving to death due to a lack of food. In this model, industrial output still peaks and then declines like the other models due to a lack of resources. The worst case scenario model is called business as usual 2, or BAU 2. This is a model that highlights a very clear collapse of civilization as we know it. Pollution continues to increase, and a drop in available food causes birth rates to plummet in rich and poor countries alike. And when I say plummet, I really do mean plummet. Just look at this chart. The last time I covered this topic on a video on my channel, I called it the Great Reset Initiative, and the video was very quickly banned. Why? We still don't know to this day, despite numerous appeals. But the video did cover some of the topics I'm talking about here, such as all of the droughts, the floods, the famines, the huge numbers of people who have died or are currently starving to death around the world since the pandemic began. 2030 is the year the World Economic Forum told us that we will own nothing and be happy. I wonder, was this what they really meant? I know the optimists among you are watching this video and saying, this is just doom and gloom, everything's going to be fine. But look, we've had 70 years since this study was first published, 50 years have now gone, and nothing has changed. And in fact, it's worse than that. The elite, the lobbyists, and the big corporations have done everything in their power to keep all the profits going into their greedy little pockets so that nothing would change. Because remember, they only care about one thing: profit. Personally, I've been preparing for this for the last 2 years anyway. I'll take clean living with simple family values on a homestead, for example, over coercion, misinformation, consumerism, and debauchery any day of the week. Thank you for watching this video today. God bless you and your family. And remember, please, to click the like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and definitely share this video with your network or social media, however you want to do it. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you as subscribers. Thank you so much. See you next time.